We're starting fresh, and the first thing that we want to do is we want to go to the internet, and we're going to be using the Google search engine in order to find the images that we want. So for those of you on an iPad or an iPhone, we're going to be looking for the Safari app, and it's the blue circle that has the white and red triangle. You can go ahead and push that now. Now, depending on what the last student was looking at, that's what it'll bring you to. So if this is not what you want to be doing, up on the top, there's a place where you can type in the web address that you're looking for. If we click on it, it'll go ahead and it'll bring up, where are your favorite places to go. And on our school iPads, we already have Google in as one of our favorites. So if you are using a school iPad, you can go ahead and push Google. Okay, 5th grade, really quickly before you jump on Google and start looking up a picture for your first project, I just wanted to show you some examples of what we're going to be doing for this project. So this project is a 1-point perspective project. We're going to be talking about space. So you need to be picking an item that can move throughout space, and we'll be trying to do blocks the following week 3-dimensionally so that we can learn more about 1-point perspective. Today all we're worried about is what is that object that you want. So in this example, the student picked a ball of yarn. So in box number 1, they have the ball of yarn because that's where it starts, and then in box number 2 where it ends is just the end of the yarn. So this is going to be a pretty simple drawing. So for those of you that have more drawing skills, this might be too simple for you. But remember, what we're looking for is this. What is going to be in your box 1 and what is going to be in your box 2, and more importantly, what's going to connect those two? So what's going to get longer, get stretched out and come through the boxes to go to box 2? So you need to know what all 3 of those are. And if you are having a hard time saying, well, in box 1 it's this, but I don't know what's in box 2, and I'm not sure what's connecting them, then you might want to pick a different picture. Okay? Here's another example where the student drew a flower, and then what came through was the vine, and just the end of the vine what was in box number 2. So again, a pretty easy drawing because the hardest thing was in box 1 and the rest was pretty simple. This one was a mouse. Again, very similar. A lot of kids are choosing, spaghetti. They're choosing something very simple, which is fine, but it needs to be able to move throughout space. What can we take from that image and extend or make longer? So this student chose to make the tail super long, and then the end of the tail was tied in a knot, and that's why our mouse friend here is crying. A pencil, again, another easy one. The tip of the pencil would be in box 1 and the eraser would be in box 2, with the middle of the eraser being stretched out. And then here is the giraffe. The giraffe is a really great example because there's really 2 sections of the giraffe that are kind of complex. You have the body and then you have the head. So the head would be in box 1. The rest of the body would be in box 2, and then they're extending the neck. They're making the neck go through space and go through each one of these 3-dimensional forms in their picture. So hopefully this helps. Again, if you're not sure about your image, if you're in class, raise your hand. I can give you some helpful tips. If you are at home, grab somebody at home, ask them if this makes sense. Is this something that I could do? But again, if you can't tell yourself or tell the person sitting next to you, in box 1 is this, in box 2 is this, and connecting them is this, then you might want to go ahead and maybe find a better image. I hope that helps. Good luck. Once you're on Google, there'll be a magnifying glass, and that will help us find what we're looking for. So we'll go ahead and tap that, and you'll type in what it is that you are looking for. If you know how to spell it, you can go ahead and spell it with the keyboard. Otherwise, an interesting way to get things that I'm looking for, on the bottom there's a little microphone, and if you click that and talk into it, it'll write whatever it is that you are saying. So, giraffe. So it typed the word in giraffe for me, and it wants to know if I want to add any more words, and since for our example I'm just using giraffe, I'm going to select go. Right away it's going to show you web pages, and we don't want web pages, we want pictures. So up on the top it says all, and next to it it says images. We want to select images. If all you type in is just one word, it's probably going to bring you images of an actual photograph. So all of these pictures of the giraffes that I have up are actual pictures taken by a photograph. Now, that could work for some of us, but some of us maybe aren't as confident in our drawing, and drawing from a photograph can be intimidating. So here's a way to fix that. I'll go back up to my top where I can type in giraffe next to the magnifying glass, and after the word giraffe I can either type in the word cartoon or I can use the microphone again. Cartoon. I'll hit go, and now it's going to give you images of a giraffe, but they're going to be in the style of cartoons. So you're going to get a lot of different varieties. There are going to be some of these that are very simple to draw, like this one, and there'll even be some that look more realistic, like this one. So you have to decide which one is best for you. So you can go ahead, you can scroll through the images and find the one that's going to work best for you. Once you have your image, we want to actually save it to our iPad. So right now, I'm going to push down firmly, and if I wiggle my finger, it's going to start moving the picture, so it won't work. So I'll lift and I'll try again. What we're trying to do is push down without moving our finger and counting to 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. It's going to ask you, well, what do you want to do with this picture? And for my iPad, it says add to photos. So I'm going to go ahead and add it to photos. Some of yours, when you push and hold 1, 2, 3, 4, it won't say add to photos, but it'll say save image. So if it says save image, go ahead and click on save image. Once you've saved it to image, even if it took you 3 or 4 tries, because it even takes me a couple of tries, sometimes 2, but once I get it, then it becomes easier. We'll get out of Safari, and we want to go into our Grid app. Our Grid app is the green icon with a G and the hashtag grid lines over the top. If you're using a school iPad, this is already loaded for you. If you're using a device from home, it has to be an Apple device. It has to be either an iPad or an iPhone. If you are not using an iPad or an iPhone and you're just using your Chromebook, don't worry, I'll make another video that will explain some alternatives for you so that you can be doing the exact same thing. So if you have your iPad, you'll go ahead and click Grid, and again, if you need to download it. It is free of charge, and we'll open it up. Once we're in, you'll see a white screen, and up on the top, we actually have 3 things that we could click on. We could click on camera, mode, or there's 3 lines with 3 dots. The first thing we need to do is we need to put our picture inside. So for a picture, we want to go to camera. Once you're in your camera setting, you'll go to Photos, and you'll go to the one that you selected from Safari. Right now, my picture doesn't have any grid lines, and I want to show you how to put grid lines on. So we don't want to add a photo, so we're done with camera. We don't want to go to mode because it's going to change settings that we don't want to change. We're going to click on the 3 horizontal lines with the 3 dots on them. Once you're here, we want to add a grid, and what we want to do is we want to change the amount of rows and columns. For our first drawing, we actually are going to want 2 rows and 2 columns. So rows are horizontal, columns are vertical. Underneath is the grid color. You can change it, although it's not necessary. Whatever color is showing up in the circles is what color is going to show up on the picture. So black is typically easiest to see unless your picture has a lot of black. The one thing we don't want is we don't want to see completely white boxes, because that will give us white lines and it'll be difficult to see. So I have my bottom one all the way to the right, and I have my 3 upper ones, my R, G, and B, my red, green, and blue, all the way to the left. My dot is black, so I'll have black lines. And the last thing is well, how thick do you want the line? Do you want it really thick, or do you want it kind of thin? Please stay at 3. 3 is a really good width. If the lines get too thick, it actually starts to cover up some of your picture. If the line is too thin, then it'll be really hard to see. So before we get out of here, just double check that you have row 2, column 2, my red, green, and blue are all the way to the left. My A is all the way to the right, making my dot black, and my width is 3, and then you can hit the back. So now we have the grid for our second draft for our gesture and our second draft for our gesture and contour. So this will be the one that you'll use when you're doing the middle one on your worksheet. Once you're done with this grid, we can go back in, because you'll notice that on our final draft, we have more lines. So we can leave all of the settings, but the one that we're going to change is going to be how many rows, and we want to go from 2 rows to 4 and 2 columns to 4. Once you have 4 and 4, you'll hit the back and it'll update your picture.